This feels very vulnerable. It's just late and you're like here where I'm at. So yeah, it's just, you're close to me right now. It's weird. Technology. But away, this is really cool for astrology and astronomy. And if you're into astrology, or if you're a human being living on the planet, you're a universal citizen, this is really interesting and good for you too. So yeah, this is cool. So a lot of us were like, what sign is the moon in? And we Google it. Well, we should learn to look at the constellations and see what sign the moon is in, or any other planet. Well, not any other planet, but the ones you can see from Earth, which is only up to Jupiter. But I think certain times of the year, like every couple years, like you can see Uranus and Neptune. You can't see Pluto from the Earth, like with your eyes, your bare eye. So, and this is how you do it, okay? Well, whenever you learn the constellations, it's actually super easy, especially because they're the same in your area for like, a lot of the time of the year, or at least they change like kind of quarterly, I think. So when you learn the ones in your area for that time, it's really easy to just look up and be like, oh, that is there. And if you spot one thing, then it's just like a trail and you follow it to the rest of them. And there's an astrological axis line, I guess the zodiac line, and you follow that. And, and there's all kinds of other constellations besides the astrology constellations. But for example, I was looking at the moon, and I know that, I was looking at a really bright star, and I'm like, what bright star is that? Because there's only like so many bright ones. And you use the bright ones to figure out what constellation it is, because there's always a brightest star in the constellation. So I looked with this app called Star Walk, and you should totally download it. It's really cool. You just like take your phone and like put the phone up there, like, and move it around, and it's really, really interactive and cool. And there's also really cool like astronomical news on there too. So I used that app, Star Walk, and it was Aldebaran. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I know that that's in Taurus. And then you can also see that that's, that it was Taurus. And so I was like, okay, Taurus, follow the line. Then there's Aries, which Aries is really small. And then there's Pisces. And the moon's in Pisces. So that's how you tell what planet a sign is in. What constellation is behind the planet. And this is just so cool. I've been studying astrology for like 5 years. And like I've been wanting to do this year. Like I felt drawn by spirit, so I'm happy that I'm doing it now. But sidereal astrology is the true astrology. I've known that for a couple years. But it's just really apparent whenever you're doing the constellations, because it's just the fixed stars of the universe. They don't move. Our tropical one is like 20 something degrees different because it has to do with like the equinox and stuff like that. And the sun, I think it has to do with our sun. So when you look at the planets and see the constellation behind them, it's always the sidereal one. So like for example, the sun, I'll use the sun. The sun is in Scorpio right now, but if you look, it is very clearly in Libra. in the constellations. And Jupiter, you know, Jupiter's in Gemini, but if you clearly look at Jupiter, it's in Taurus. So yeah, it's really cool. Look into constellations around you. You can look like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's not so much like where you're at like all the time. I think it just is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere mostly. So like if you're in the northern hemisphere, I'm pretty sure we're all seeing like the same-ish stars. So you can just look up November star map, northern hemisphere, and yeah, for me, yeah, it's just exciting. It's just exciting, and it's just like easy to do, especially when you find like a really big one and you find where the planets are, because like right now you can see Jupiter clearly, you can see Mars clearly, which is super cool. And the moon, you know, if you know what sign the moon is in, then that can help you too. But sometimes the moon is so bright you can't really see the stars around it. And sometimes you just can't really see the stars, especially if you're in a really lit area. But once it gets darker into the night, it becomes really clear if you're in like a area that you can do that. So thank you for listening to this. This is so awesome, and I hope that you learn constellations as a universal human citizen. And yeah, I hope that you do that for yourself and your people and let them know too. Love you. Bye.